Okay.
Good evening, and thank you for braving the cold, although it's getting sunnier, and joining our meeting tonight. I appreciate you taking the time, and let's begin with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Oxley, will you do the roll call, please?
Ms. Hamilton,
Present.
Mr. Dobies, Ms. Mitchell,
Here.
Ms. Acton,
Present.
Ms. Hunt,
Present.
and Mrs. Fitzgerald.
Here. Okay, at this moment, I would like to
Move
entertain a
approval of the
moment.
agenda.
Approval of the
Madam President.
agenda.
Support.
Any discussion? No? Okay. All in favor? Yes.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. We're good. Keep moving. Superintendent's report.
I just want to thank all the parents who participated in conferences last week. I know we had a really good turnout, waiting to get the final pieces. If you were unable to touch base with your child's teacher, I hope that you will make an opportunity to email them or reach out to them at the building. It is part of our commitment to you to be able to communicate about your child's academic progress, and parent-teacher conferences multiple times a year are one of the vehicles we use to do that. And I'm going to end the superintendent's report right there and just say thank you very much. It's holy smokes, we're off to a great start. We're in the month of October already. So that ends the superintendent's report for the month of October.
Second.
Support.
All in discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, citizens requesting to attend, or to address the board. At this point, I have two. Oh, excuse me, I had this one right here. And I did want to make a little comment before we start with that. And that is, I've spent a lot of time with MASB this month, that's Michigan Association of School Boards. And I have some information on things like public comment, board comment, et cetera, that deal with negativity or calling people out by name, things like that. And I would really appreciate it if you would make an effort to address things that have to do with the agenda, that have to do with things we're doing with the schools, and keep personal gripes out of it. Okay? Thank you. Nobody said, no, it's not okay. So I guess it's okay. All right, first we have,
Point of information.
Yeah.
Pam, is that a new policy that you are?
no, it's not.
proposing?
It's in the leadership. It's part of MASB that we always have had. We just have never had the occasion to have to use it.
So these are suggestions that you're making. These are not
It's not a
policies.
suggestion. I will not tolerate that any longer.
What?
Okay,
What is-
Jane Hargan.
So Pam, I want to understand, what does that mean to the public? What you won't
What
tolerate
means
it?
to
What does
the
that look like?
public is that if they're going to come up here and start yelling at a specific board member,
Mhm.
I'm just not going to deal with it. And they're not going to insult each other either. Okay?
Does that mean you're going to
we
get
have
them kicked out?
we have a
or-
very specific policy
Mhm.
that explains how you handle complaints,
Mhm.
and this is not it, and it's not going to continue to be it.
So I'm just trying to understand. And I want the
Okay.
community to be able to understand. You're saying that if somebody calls somebody out,
Mhm.
and that's a little subjective as well, because I don't know if we understand what that means, then if
I
they
think
do
you know
that,
what it means very well.
which is okay. I
Mhm.
think it's
Mhm.
important for the community to understand what that means. If that occurs, again, it's subjective.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a policy. Help
Mhm.
me understand how you're enforcing something that's not a policy.
You don't have to have policies. You have processes, and policies aren't laws. And every single thing you breathe and eat does not have to be part of a policy. This comes directly out of the leadership book that I thought you guys probably all got in the mail, like I do every month, and read it. And it's a wonderful article, and it was just encouraging people to use it to avoid those kinds of things in the boardroom. So that's my thing. I'm just saying, if you come up here to complain about my board members or me, whatever, there's a different venue for that than the board. But there is a venue for that. So it's not like you have to hush up ever. That's not the point. But this is not that venue.
Okay, so just,
Okay,
no,
thank you,
Pam, I just,
Keisha. I'm done.
we
I'm
have a
done.
point of order
No,
and point of information, so I'm just trying to understand.
I
It
can't
sounds
help
like,
you any further than that.
okay, so if I'm clear on what you're saying, this is not a policy. There are no specific, guidelines that you have made clear to the community. And so this doesn't really necessarily have to be followed because this is your personal opinion. Thank you.
No,
I understand
actually, it's from the MASB Leadership Manual that we follow. That's part of our
Madam Pre-
policy, is to follow theirs.
Point of order.
Hmm?
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry. I got off track here.
I
Okay.
think the president's just asking everyone to be respectful and courteous.
Exactly.
With their comments.
And that
Last-
there is a process for handling that sort of thing. Jeff's reading something he
No,
wanted.
it is. The policy is on the back of the comment.
Oh,
So if you were asking where the board policy is, that's where it's at. And the board policy on public complaints, so if you've got a complaint, board members, everybody, real quick, if you have a complaint about professional staff member, superintendent, whoever, there's policy 9130, please refer to that. I think we're looking for civil discord. I think it's the
civil
best way to
discord
put it.
is all I'm asking for.
Thank you so much for pointing that out. I also know that we do not regulate board community comments, so we cannot regulate what you all say. So while this is a suggestion, while there's a policy on the back of the paper that you all can read and you can choose to follow it as it is, there is no regulation of community comments, public comments. So
There
you
is
get
a
to say whatever
policy,
you
it's
want to
on the
say
back-
when you sit
There's a
in the
policy,
space,
it's
just
on
so
the
we
back
know.
of the statement, you can read it. Okay, first we have JD Hargan. Pardon me? JD, okay. Oh, hey, everybody's got it. Then William Baird.
Can you hear me now? I just sound rough. I'm not sick. I'm just old and rough. My name is JD Hargan. I have a first grader in Northeast Elementary. He went to Northeast Elementary his first kindergarten year, and now he's there for his first grade year. I have had a little bit of issues. So yesterday, I wasn't even going to talk today, you guys. This is my first time coming here. Yesterday, supposedly my son was very bad. Said some bad words, put his hands on some students, and he got sent home with a big red paper that said he was awful. Like, he was really not good that day. And then today, around 2 o'clock, I get a phone call from his teacher that he's been great, but guess what? He won't tell me what 2 minus 1 is. So I've had him down in a certain room with just me and him, and I took his gym away when we know my son knows what 2 minus 1 is, but because he was not wanting to talk to the teacher. So you give me a call, but you can't call me when he's hitting students the day before or cursing. And it's really worrying me. It's really worrying me about some of the stuff I hear my son definitely doesn't do at home. Definitely. But he's doing it at school. And when he's being good, I get a call about a math question. But when he's being bad, I get a letter sent home about how bad he was, but nobody could have called me. Because I could have showed up. I could have talked to my son. I could have talked to him on the phone. I'm 42. It's the only kid I got. I haven't dealt with school in a long time. A lot different from the 80s when I was in school. Really confusing. But I'm nervous and I'm worried about the discipline my son is getting because my son doesn't act like that at home and he continues to act like that at school. And you don't call me when my son is hitting people and cursing at people and giving the middle finger. You just send me a big red piece of paper home. But then today I get a call. I've had him in a class for an hour and a half because he won't tell me what 2 minus 1 is. So I put my son on the phone. I tell him, honey, what's 2 minus 1? Put up your fingers. Take one down. It's 1, mommy. Why is this teacher spending an hour and a half away from the other students? It's concerning. And I get why you took his recess away, because he obviously wasn't doing his job as a student. But when he's doing more inappropriate stuff, they're not getting a hold of me. And that's concerning to me. Not the 2 minus 1, the 5 minus 1. What's concerning to me is yesterday, you didn't call me when he supposedly put hands on somebody, or he was cursing, or he was flipping the bird at 6 years old. Why didn't you, as adults that I trust to watch my son, why didn't you contact me because of that? I got a call today because he didn't want to tell his teacher 2 minus 1. And I had to talk to him. He's 6. He's 6. He's a mommy's boy. You know, I mean, he doesn't trust all adults. He likes his teacher. He tells me I like my teacher, but he just didn't want to tell her the answer. But that teacher took an hour and a half out of her day and then called me that much later. When yesterday I got a big red piece of paper saying he was hitting people. He was cursing. He wasn't acting right or doing his work. But today you want to call me about some nonsense when you should have called me and had me at that school to talk to my son and readjust his behavior. And that didn't happen. I'm worried having my son in the Jackson Public School. I'm scared. I'm scared the discipline isn't correct because he don't act like that at home. I did conferences with my son's teacher last week. Oh, he crawls on tables. He does this. Well, he don't do that at home. What? We need to work together. If it takes a village, why isn't the village pulling together? You're only calling me when it's unnecessary. I need you to call me and keep me informed when my son is not doing right. So guess what? We can be a team. I don't feel like Jackson Public School District is a team. Kindergarten, he had trouble. I have a bus driver that's calling him out in front of other school kids, cussing and telling him he's bad and he's 6. I know that's a transportation problem, but I have a problem with the teacher not calling me when he's really being bad. You want to call me because he doesn't know 2 minus 1, but you've had him pulled aside for an hour and a half out of gym. I got it on recording. Out of gym, away from his other students, just because my son didn't want to tell you 2 minus 1. And we know he knows it. He was being a stubborn 6-year-old. And for our teachers not to be able to control our 6-year-olds and to be, I'm a waitress. I hate to say that to anybody. It's embarrassing. But am I going to call you and say, I don't know what to do? This table ordered 3 different drinks and I can't handle it. Click. All right. Have a good day, y'all.
There we go. Can you follow up on this and find out what's going on with the no big deal? Get
I'm
the call
JD
and-
Hargan. Yes.
Yeah, got it.
And
Hey, I lived at 527 Orange my whole life.
I'm 258, honey.
I know, I just thought on your
All
card.
right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you for bringing it to us. Okay, at this point, we have William Baird.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity to address you tonight as William Baird. I'm a candidate for the Jackson High School Board. I've been in banking for 32 years, or my banking experience is for 32 years. And I think that will leverage my skills as a retired banker. As a father of 2 sons who graduated from Jackson Public Schools and have gone on to college, I have firsthand knowledge of district strengths. My wife is an educator with the same district, and several family members share a passion for education. Since retiring, I've worked as a teaching assistant, supporting students with cognitive disabilities. My community involvement includes 14 years of Big Brothers Big Sisters and serving on the Jackson High Ambassadors Committee. My motivation for running is straightforward: restoring integrity, respect, and honesty to the board. I aim to prioritize the community or the value without seeking personal gain. I pledge to support exceptional education for all Jackson Public School employees, students, recognizing crucial roles of teachers, the board administration, and all employees. Thank you, and I hope that I can earn your trust. I've been a lifelong resident of Jackson for 62 years, and my family has grown up here, and I would love the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Thompson, is that right? Pardon me? Johnson.
Alrighty, so our unity is our strength and our diversity is our power. So right now we're looking at a system that prides itself on preparing students for the future, teaching them about civics, civic responsibility, and leadership skills. But where's the leadership when it comes down to our younger students? Let me be clear. This board has failed. We have failed our students by denying them real opportunity for civic leadership, for civic engagement, for taking charge of their future. Not when they graduate high school, not when they go off to college, but now, while they're in middle school or even elementary school. The future starts now. How do we expect young people to become tomorrow's leaders if today we don't give them the chance to lead? We can't sit here talking about the importance of preparing students for life, for success, for civic duty, but how can they be ready to lead the real world when their voices are silenced in the very schools that are supposed to teach them? If we are serious about teaching civic responsibility, then let's start with giving them responsibility. Let's empower them to lead. Let them serve. Because leadership does not come with an age limit, and it doesn't wait for a fancy title or diploma. Leadership is about seeing what's wrong and deciding to fix it. This board refuses to listen. I've contacted this board many times. I've spoke at the board meeting. No one got back to me besides one person. In Chicago, the Chicago Public Schools District established a student voice committee that directly involved middle school students in the school governance. Since the formation, studies have showed that 12% increase in student engagement in civic-related activities, and the school with strong student leadership programs have seen a 5% increase in attendance rates. The Chicago Youth Council found that students who are actively involved in leadership programs are twice as likely to vote and participate in civic activities. In Philadelphia, middle school students have played a key role in Philadelphia Youth Commission. The results are schools that incorporated student leadership council saw a 10% drop in disparate incidents and a 7% increase in student achievements. Other schools have embraced student leadership are thriving. These students are engaged, they're active, they're leading, their schools are flourishing because they understand the real change happens when you empower them. So my proposal is a youth board sitting here, a seat at the table for students who are directly impacted by the decisions you make. Not as tokens, not as afterthoughts, but real contributors to the process. And middle schoolers are more than ready. Don't tell me that they aren't. So, we're already living with the consequences of your decisions. So the least you could do is have them have a say. Whether this board supports it or not, I'll be working with the middle school at Parkside to create a student government where we will build leadership platforms. And you refuse to create, we'll create and give student voices they deserve. The train is leaving with you or without you. And I suggest you get on board because the future isn't going to wait for you to catch up. So this board has an opportunity to do something different, to be bold, to finally step up and do what's right for our students. Or you continue making decisions in isolation as if you know better than the students you claim to serve. And that brings me back with the quote I began with. Our unity is our strength, and our diversity is our power. It's a diversity of thought, of experience, and voices, including the voice of our youngest students that will give the school district its strength. It's when we unite all the voices that we find real power. But it's up to you whether you choose to embrace it or continue silencing the very future you claim to nurture.
Thank you very, very much. Okay, now we have Nicholas Thurston and then Chris Davis.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Thurston. I live here in Jackson, Michigan. I'm JPS alumni. I wanted to address the board regarding the proposal for the district equity policy. I strongly oppose the district equity policy for a number of very good reasons, and here's why. The city of Jackson government, to use a local example, has been participating in a DEI program for the last several years that has so far ended in disaster. It has contributed to wasteful government spending, unchecked discrimination and harassment of others, higher crime rates, and corruption at City Hall. Local leaders in City Hall are denying that crime has gone higher. They have falsely reported things in order to become eligible for grants that we ordinarily would not be able to receive. And by misrepresenting the city of Jackson in order to obtain eligibility for those grants has created a disparate outcome and a discriminatory effect over residents of the formerly known, or the street formerly known as Francis Street, which has been renamed at Martin Luther King Drive based on recommendations for DEI program administrators, participants, and beneficiaries. What we saw there was the city of Jackson has received a multi-million-dollar grant that requires a dollar cost match in order to become eligible for a road reconstruction on MLK Drive, or MLK Junior Drive, excuse me. This street is one of the nicest streets in the city limits. It was repaired, reconstructed in 1995. The water lines were switched out even before people were having conversations about lead line concerns. And it has no potholes. Even residents of the street have said this street's perfectly fine. Why should I pay $15,000 per household? And for some businesses being built, over $100,000 to reconstruct a road that is perfectly fine. This neighborhood has been targeted because of the skin color of the people that live there, based on recommendations from the DEI program participants, current mayor and city council members, as well as political activists, to the detriment of the residents. Their address was changed against their will. We also see that another street in Jackson was changed, the name of the street was changed to Carl Breeding Way, against the will of the people that live on the street. Multiple people came out and said, I live on the street and I oppose this. Milwaukee Street's been Milwaukee Street for a long time. There's no reason that we should have to change all of our stuff, spend money out of our pockets to update our information with banks, government institutions, and anyone else that they're doing business with. The council voted against them anyways. We have seen increase in discrimination here at JPS by board members who have made international news for saying that all white people are evil. We have had DEI activists enter this room and promote racial discrimination and harmful stereotypes against people based on the color of their skin. That would not have been possible if this JPS board did not vote to sell the city of Jackson the former T. Wilson School building that is now being rented to Keisha Hamilton's company for $1 per month. They're staging basically their hate speech, and they're getting themselves into a frenzy. Then they come across the street down here and they attend the board meetings and they say hateful stuff to people like Shalonda Hunt. They say, stop pimping yourself out to whiteness. They say, Angela Mitchell, you're a waste of space. We can't wait till you're gone. They say that Pam Fitzgerald is a racist and a white supremacist. Things that should never been said in this room and would not be possible if the city of Jackson was in compliance with the state of Michigan Constitution. Our state constitution has banned DEI in practice and policy, even if it is not banned in name. And our state constitution was written in a way that includes any departments and governmental entities that did not exist at the time the law was passed. So the state constitution has banned affirmative action style policies and practices that show or encourage governmental discrimination or preferential treatment against one race or another, one sex or another, or any other protected status. This also applies to the City of Jackson's DEI program. And so the City of Jackson itself is in violation of this. And I'm sorry to the people whose rights have not been protected. Regardless of your ethnicity, you do have rights under the law. You are a valued member of this society. And I personally, I don't support the harmful stereotypes that are being promoted, or whether it's by businesses or individuals, political activists or governmental entities. It is fundamentally wrong. It is un-American. The people of Jackson, Michigan do not support these things. They do not agree with these things. And if you think that harmful stereotypes and racism and hate speech are wrong, vote no on the equity policy tonight, please. It'll mean the world to people like me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you making comments.
Good evening, board. I'm joined here tonight by my campaign manager, Logan. I walked in late, so I missed the beginning, but what I did walk into, I think is fitting considering what I wrote to say here tonight. On Saturday, I had the privilege of meeting a young lady who was just beginning her journey as a new mom. As she spoke to me and my wife about her experience in her short 3 months of motherhood, you could see the joy and the love that she had in her eyes for her kid. A few hours ago, I was notified that she and her daughter were involved in a car accident this morning and both passed away at the scene. As I thought about what I wanted to say here tonight, I thought about this incident. And it reminds us how fragile life is and the importance of treating each other with kindness and understanding. And it's in moments like these that we put everything into perspective and highlight the need for us to work together in civility and compassion. In our efforts to better our district, we must keep the needs of our kids and teachers at the center of all of our decisions. We have to set aside our differences to come together to create a supportive and united community that focuses on doing what's best for everyone in our schools. My thoughts are with her family tonight during this incredibly difficult time. And like I said, I missed most of them. I'll go back and watch the video. I'm not sure what started that, but I just, when I walked in and heard it, I couldn't help but really, everything happens for a reason, right? I thought about these words before I walked in here, and this is what I walked into. So I think it's a message that everyone in this room needed to hear tonight. This is the last school board meeting prior to the election. I've been out here campaigning for 8 months, I've spoke to everyone at that table, everyone at that table, almost everyone behind me. It's been fun and rewarding branching out to the community. And regardless of the results in 20 days, I hope to continue to work with those connections and really do something good for our district and our future generations. So good luck to all the candidates, and I have faith our community will choose the right people to lead this district forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Oh, yeah. And John,
Is it 5 minutes?
5 minutes, yep.
Okay. I'm John King, 203 3rd Street, a short distance from here. As far as citizen comments, you really can't be censoring them much. Now, with Maisha Jones's comments, the good thing about letting her do that is it will reflect poorly on her. So, before you go worrying about all this, I mean, if she wants to go that way, it's not going to work for her. I thought it was interesting with Keisha, with her talk about mentioning herself. Oh, Keisha, sort of in the first person or whatever. I think it's like elitism or something like that, that the definition of doing that. And part of it is, I seen like narcissism as being related to that. So that gets to, I guess she suggested that one of you threatened her, which was, and so she didn't want to be in a meeting. a supporter of hers, Shaquace Selby, I guess accused Derek Dobies of threatening her like that type of deal. I seen a a print screen that she did with what she suggested was the threat or whatever, and it was just sort of ridiculous. I mean, the last thing I want to do is come to Derek Doby's defense. So we got that going on. Yeah. So then so there's all that going on. Chris Davis, he talked one member into getting the chairman of the local county Republican Party to let him speak during a precinct delegates meeting. I wouldn't have allowed it. So he spoke. So then I went up and explained he's, a Democrat, to the left. So there were a few people that were kind of concerned that he was, going to be there, and there were some touchy things or party things. So they kind of debated going in closed session. He got up and left, and so he was gone. And then the next day, he's starting to say he was forcefully removed from the meeting, that his life was threatened. Just a total big whopper. So, just the lies like that. It's politic election season, and so for the young man, the middle schooler, he goes on TV with the Fire Jeff Beal sweatshirt. It's the question shouldn't be where's the leadership, it's where's the parents. This is just silly season for them. All these people saying, "Oh, all you are the ones that are causing the ruckus," or acting like children. I mean, this is just ridiculous. So the people. Oh, finally, there was the United Way person that's a candidate. Keisha Hamilton's mentor had words when 3 other people, including another candidate and her husband, were going out the door. The candidate spun it like it was their fault. So there's all kinds, the politics and the falsehoods and everything are really bad. So I'm endorsing Gina Hastings, Cheryl Simonetti, and William Beer. If that matters to anyone. I see a lot of things, and I'm against the DEI trying to suggest teachers and JPS are racist, and that's why the kids are having issues with meeting certain standards. Cheryl Simonetti mentioned it. We need the parenting, and that's always been the case. As far as Jeff Beal, a couple things. I mean, the financial, but I mean, even in his time here, there's a lot less trash on my street since he's come here. I think they got rid of the vending machines and other things that are just improvements that maybe he's not perfect, but I've seen a lot of positives with him. So this fire,
John,
Jeff.
your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. That's it for public comment. Citizens Rescue Board. So, discussion item, district equity policy. Who's doing that one?
Madam President, for purpose of discussion, I'll move approval of the equity policy.
You do what?
Move approval of the equity policy.
To pull it. Approve it. Okay. Hello. To approve it. Is there a second?
Support.
Support? Discussion?
So I've read this equity policy. I disagree with it as written, and I'm concerned that I'd be acting outside of the scope of my authority.
With the policy as it's written? Okay.
Madam Chair. Appreciate the consideration of the equity policy. This has been something that has changed significantly from, maybe not significantly, but changed in a couple of different ways I'd like to point out, and so that everyone is kind of on the same page from when this was first introduced and on the discussion table. First introduced in April, and we talked about it on some meetings before we tabled it for August, and we're not able to discuss it in August for obvious reasons. But some of the, just as people are trying to figure out some of the things that changed around, the policy went to our Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Curriculum, Kelly Crum, who has over a decade of experience in having worked at Jackson College back to 2013, serving as the Chief Diversity Officer, Director of Diversity, Equity, and Belonging there. Obviously has experience working here since she was hired here, that went to the original equity policy and made some of the changes. If you're comparing the April policy to the current policy, one is the first bullet point is the first bullet point. 2 and 8 were combined into what is now the second bullet point. 3 and 11 were combined into the third bullet point. 4 got moved to 6. If you're looking at the different versions of version 2 that then went through our legal counsel and became version 3, that section was 5 that became 7, but is now deleted in what you see before you tonight. 6 and 7 were combined into 8. 9 is the new 4. 10 is 5, and 12 is 9. So things did get combined. They did get moved around. This policy pulls from a couple of different districts, mainly borrows language from Grand Rapids Public Schools, and is the result of many years of community conversations with parents, residents, months of feedback from staff, administrators, conversations with our administration here, with those across the district, and editing from district leadership, including Superintendent Beal and Kelly here. I did have Brendan look at it, made some recommendations that are reflected in the proposal before you tonight. And, you know, my feeling is we've spoken about this twice as a board. I've spoken with a number of you about it individually. Each one has been you know, everyone here has been able to offer amendments and offer feedback as we've gone through this process. Appreciate the opportunity to sit with some of you and gain your perspective on it as well, even if we disagree. And, you know, I'll say that there is a line between policy and goal setting and metric making. I think that this policy strikes the balance of affirming some of the work that we are doing now and setting that into a policy, and the resulting work that we have to do and the work that we want to see in terms of the metrics that we want to see out of this is best made in the goal setting metric placement that we do within the superintendent's evaluation. We've done that, frankly, in the DEI space before, 2 cycles back. We did it last year with truancy on an absenteeism, placing some of that into the superintendent's goal setting. And I think that if we want to direct staff on specific goals, we shouldn't be putting that into the policy, but we should be working to make that something that the superintendent focuses on and ultimately carries out for the board. So that's what I have to say about that.
Yes. So this policy, which reads like a memo, is ambiguous and repetitive of other policies that are currently on the books at JPS. This doesn't go beyond, it doesn't add, it doesn't even necessarily support the policies we have on the books currently because of its ambiguousness. It's lacking in SMARTY goals. Like I said already, it's ambiguous, which is unclear also. So I will not be supporting this policy, not for the reasons mentioned at public comment time, but as an individual who has done a lot of work in living a life of that's been based in inequities perpetrated by society, thereby understanding what equity actually looks like. Also as an individual who specializes in diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism. You know, I get a lot of public comment affirming that. Thank you. I recognize that this policy is not going to do what we think it's going to do. In my opinion, it's basically just a smokescreen. Even the goals that are, whatever goals that might be, you know, listed in here, they're not SMARTY. So strategic, measurable, ambitious, realistic, time-bound, inclusive, and/or equitable. And then even more importantly, policy like law can sound good. The bigger issue around policy is who's implementing it, who's reading it, interpreting it, and then implementing it. This board has shown through its recent actions and actions that have lasted and been consistent in their behavior and in how they apply policy as to being inequitable, meaning that they do not operate in equity. And as much as I'm excited that we have our DEI director here, our DEI director can go no further than the administration that they are under. So while they may or may not, recognize equities and or inequities, they are under an administration that does not recognize true equity, does not operate in true equity. This board does not operate in true equity. So I will be a hard no, like I said, not for the reasons mentioned in public comment, but yeah, this is a hard no for me.
Roll call vote, please.
What are we voting on? This is a discussion item, right?
To accept or not accept the equity policy.
This is a discussion item. Did we change it to? No, I thought it was just a discussion item. Did we make it an action item? We did that? Okay, so no.
Mr. Dobies? Mrs. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Acton?
No.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
And Mrs. Fitzgerald?
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Now we'll go to board comment and calendar. Anyone on the board want to jump in?
I will. I would just like to thank the teachers, the administrators, and any support staff that was at conferences. I can personally speak to Parkside and the high school because that's where my two students are. But I've heard from other parents too. Teachers were working hard that night. There were, lines up even at the secondary, so that was nice to see. So I would just like to thank them for all of their hard work.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Keisha.
Yep. So board comments for me tonight. I want to get into a habit of thanking. I think I have a little bit thanking our teachers and for all the work that they do. Without you, what would we be doing? You know what I mean? It's education, but a little humor, just a little. It could be dry, but either way, if we were to update our board policies regarding public comment, which we cannot do, you know, according to state law. But if we were, I would like for us to suggest to our community to not touch our students. It's one thing for us to talk to adults, and I handle the heat because I'm sitting in the seat, and clearly I can handle it well. But when it comes to our students, that's a whole different story. So again, like I said, I recognize that as much as we can suggest and make recommendations and all those different things, we cannot regulate and or censor what's coming across that public comment table. But I would suggest, in the name of civility and all that's respectable, not to touch our students. It's unacceptable to critique our students. Like I said, I recognize that there's no censoring that we can legally put in place at the public comment table. But I think adults should be respectful, adult enough to leave kids alone, students alone. So that's my comment.
Was there a student issue that we don't know about?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Yes, we did have a public commenter critiquing one of our students.
Remember that?
I'm still blown away that John C. King came this close to like supporting me, but just what I want to say good luck to all the candidates. This is not easy work. It is easier, I think, surprisingly, sitting up here than it is dealing with what administrators and teachers have to go through every day. So I appreciate all of those educators that have to try to educate our students in navigating some incredibly difficult issues, and frankly, with some incredibly difficult parents, none of which are here tonight. But I just want to say thank you to those that continue to dedicate yourselves to the profession and to educating future generations of Jacksonians. In terms of board comments, I do hope that everyone can remain civil and respectful. That is not a luxury that I think exists oftentimes in this space. But I will offer, John C. King raised Miss Shelby, who was here last week and talked about, and I got this new notepad and actually took notes of what individuals were saying. So I happened to take notes of what she said, talking about swinging first, saying that I will put hands on people and that I will knock everyone the F out. I think that, Madam President, when you talk about regulating some of the content of the citizen comments, that is certainly not acceptable. One, it is not something that we should be tolerating here in this space and a public space, and particularly representing schools and trying to represent the best out of what we want to show to our students about how we behave as adults and how we want our children to behave. And two, the Open Meetings Act is very clear about, personal attacks aside, about any comments that are disruptive to the peace of the meeting. John C. King has talked at me for 10 years on the other side of the table. And, he may argue that, what he may about restrictions of free speech, but I do think that there is a line that can be drawn over intimidation and physical threats in a in a space like this, we can acknowledge that we have political differences, philosophical differences. We can agree and disagree on different issues and on different policies. No one here has to like me, but I think we all can agree that this is not the place for threats of physical violence, and that's something that this board doesn't have to tolerate, and legally we don't have to tolerate. Outside of that, appreciate the board support for the equity policy. We talked about, there were some comments about, how that work advances at the rate at which the superintendent allows it, which I can agree in some sense, but that is why we enshrine that in policy as a board and give that as a directive and an official policy to direct the superintendent, whether that is Superintendent Beal or a subsequent one, that we want that work to continue. And as I've said to many of you, no policy is perfect. This one, I'm sure, is not. But that doesn't mean that we can't continue to have discussions about it, amend it in the future, make it stronger and better for the district. That's all I have, Madam President.
Yep. So good luck. There's 3 open seats and 10 candidates running. So good luck to all of you. And I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out tonight. This is your time. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the staff for the time and effort you put into the kids to have them be lifelong learners. I appreciate that.
I too, excuse me, I too would like to thank everyone for coming tonight. Again, as it's been mentioned, we do have 3 vacant seats. We have 10 candidates that are running, wishing everyone well. Also asking that the community do their homework and speak to the candidates. We want to know their why. We want to know their why. We want to see this board functioning for the purpose of our student population. I am optimistic that we're on the horizon of making a sheer pivot in the right direction toward academic excellence, focusing on our district priorities and initiatives that will encourage and keep some of our teachers. There's just so much that we're missing. And I'm hopeful that with these new seats being filled, that we will have a clean slate and have new goals that we can work toward accomplishing. Additionally, I also want to thank Avion for being dynamic, courageous, having a youth voice, one that we should honor. Thank you so much for coming and continuing to speak your truth. I have worked years with young people, and I know when a youth feels silence. They've expressed that to me. And to have you present, not just at this meeting, but other meetings with the support of your mother, continue to be courageous and speak up and do what's right. I thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And to the parent that was here talking about her, expressed some concerns about her child, I am hopeful that we will be able to address that and move forward with being consistent in our discipline practices as teachers and as administrative staff, principals, overseeing these issues that are arising. Thank you so much.
I just have a couple things. I am just so pleased at how things are turning out. When I listen to the board candidates and what they have to say, but I have 2 things I wanted to say about that. We have 10 candidates, and I don't think any of us know all of them personally, but what you said was so huge. Find out why. Why would someone want to spend easily 20 hours a week on something that you don't get paid for? You don't get a whole lot of accolades for, let me guarantee that. And look for someone who is willing to compromise for the good of the district, who is public relations for Jackson Public School 100%. Make sure the person that you vote for is a Jackson Public School supporter. It's our duty as board members to toot our own horn in our district when things good happen. When there are problems, it's our responsibility to address them in an open way. And open way is bringing it up, discussing, and finding resolution, hopefully. So please, when you're vetting these candidates, I ask that you make sure you know why that person wants to be a Jackson Public School Board member, and PR for JPS is huge. There's so many good things going on. It's so hard to get it out. We're the only large urban school in our county, and it's just so hard to get it out if we don't do it ourselves. So it's very important that we do get the message out. It's always a great day to be a Viking. Remember that? It's been around for a long time. Okay, that's all I have to say. Then let's go on to.
Real quick.
Oh,
Just
go
wanna-
ahead.
I think Chris got it. Just a reminder about Jaxpo. I know it's calendar.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to remind everybody that JAXPO, which is the largest business expo that we have here in Jackson, run by the Chamber of Commerce, we just wanted to invite everybody out to come see SENV and JPS. We have 2 big booths, and it's really impressive to see what the schools and the businesses work together. And as the chamber changes and grows, it's a great event to be a part of. So we will be there from 1 to 5:30. So if you want to come and see your teachers or your principals, it'll be mostly our administrators, not our teachers there, and myself and everybody else. We encourage you guys to come out and hang with us and spend 4 or 5 hours. No, I'm just kidding. Spend an hour with us. This is Thursday from 1 to, it runs from 1 to 7, but from 5:30 on, it's an after hours for the chamber. Sorry, yeah, it's the American one.
Okay, calendar. November 19th, regular meeting, JHS Media Center at 6 o'clock. That's the shortest calendar I think we've had ever.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much for coming, and I appreciate your input.